Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nerd Crap. We have a couple of subjects today, maybe a few miscellaneous ones that we have not thought about. But today, joining me is Cable and
Hello.
Sammy. He is a guest
What is
nerd
up?
on the channel, and uh, thank you for watching, everybody. Now, please note we do have a Discord server down in the description, and we do have a suggestion next channel. If you want to do some suggestions live, there is a bit of a delay between the chat and us talking. So, if you want to get your message read as soon as possible, please join the Discord server and then type a suggestion in your suggestions. All right.
It's
And
kind of an
let's
epic
Basically.
server.
let's get into the stream, guys.
Sammy, what'd
So,
you say? What'd you say
I
about
said it's an epic server and you should all join. It's for exactly $0.
Exactly.
0.9999. No,
The
wait.
link is in the description. Please go to our Discord channel.
Please
Server.
invite as many
I'll
people
cry
as you
if you
can.
don't.
Please.
All right.
Go
So,
to it.
first order of business, gentlemen.
Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns.
Oh, shut up.
Did
I
they
don't-
send me daughters when I asked for sons?
I've not seen that movie. Ever.
What?
Yeah.
The older
Okay.
one was better.
It's a good movie.
It
Well,
is.
I haven't seen it.
I
I'm
really
sorry.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I do love the movie.
Yeah. Okay then. So, what shall we? So for today we have history and technology of the space race, and then we also have a couple of game developer questions from Sammy.
What up?
All right.
Sammy, what are your questions?
Oh, well, the first one has already been answered to an extent, but I'll ask again. So basically, I was kind of wondering how you spawn in enemies in a game, like typically, right? Or I guess most efficiently, rather. Because I've been imagining that what you do is you have IDs set up before, or not before time, ahead of time, that specify like health, attack, movement, speed, model, etc. But then like what you do is like when you spawn an enemy, you give it that ID and then that just figures itself out there. That's what I've been imagining. I don't know if that's exactly how it goes down, but
Right.
that's what I've been imagining.
Okay. Well, what I'm thinking of, it's actually not a bad idea. But typically, whenever you have a video game enemy, let's just take Halo for example, one of my favorite game of
Sure.
all time.
Mhm.
Right. So let's
That
just say
sounds
you're
right.
entering hallway, right? So you have a function to call an entity saying, hey, the person has hit this trigger. We'll talk about that later. But the trigger to spawn in the enemies, okay? The enemy, so he passes through the hallway, and then I haven't actually done any programming, but this is how I imagine it would go. And with my brother who knows a lot about programming, this is how I would imagine. He's told me stuff about this, so this is how I would imagine it. All right. So Master Chief walks through a hallway, right? Let's just say the level assaults on the control room. Lots of hallways, lots of enemies. Enters in a hallway, hits a trigger, then triggers the enemies. So let's say you have 20 enemies, all right? Say you have 2 elites and 18 grunts, or 10 grunts and 6 jackals. Right? No,
Sure.
that would be 8 jackals, I'm sorry. So then, alright, so then it would be, okay, he hit the trigger, call 20 enemies. Well, you call 20 enemies, okay, and then give each one an ID. Alright, that could work. There's another one I was thinking of, I can't remember what it was. There's another idea, I'm sorry. Like you would actually, instead of doing spawn entity and then spawn an entity 3, let's just say 303 or 221 or 9 times 10, 21. You know, so those 3
Funny.
different enemy types, okay?
Mhm.
Now, I guess this would be more in line with scripting, where it's like, call this entity, all right? So that it takes in an entity. But then that entity could just be a cube, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
An entity would be a cube, but then you'd have a script attached to it. And that script would be like, okay, this cube has 300 health points. It has its weapon damage does 20 points, and its melee damage does 15 points. Okay, or 10 points,
Okay.
whatever. Right. Well, that's a cube with stats.
Mhm.
Then you have a jackal, and it's like call this entity down unless you actually have a model for that enemy with its specific hit boxes. It's a little bit harder to do. So I think you should actually call in saying, "Hey, spawn jackal in this," and then it'll spawn in a jackal. And then with a custom hitbox instead of an entity, because what is entity, right? Typically in programming, I think you would
So,
actually call in, if you say call in entity, it'll call in just a default entity, which means you could have a round or let's just say a square item with a round hitbox. If the hitbox was default round, so it would be, should in theory be able to hit anywhere on the box and would die, but only certain areas you would actually hit it and it would die.
Mhm.
So I think you actually have to make, way you do it is you have your specific model, and then it's called jackal. Jackal already includes all of these files. Then not just calling one thing, and then it imports a cube with a cube hitbox instead of a jackal hitbox.
so then I guess my question is, what's the difference between calling Jackal, right,
Right?
and calling an entity, but then defining it as like Jackal's ID, which theoretically would give it the model in the hitbox?
Hmm. That I do not know. I guess it's
Fair enough.
more of a. Well, I guess it's how you define entity. Because you could say, uh, just say a gun could be the entity, right? Spawn in
Sure.
jackal with gun, and then you have gun, which is a entity, which means you could, in theory, end up giving a gun box with. Of course, I think they do have a hitbox for player movement, but then it would also have a health indicator. The gun itself would have health. That would actually be an interesting game. Like, sure, it could have a certain amount of ammo, but I think it'd actually make it so the weapon itself would be destroyed if it got hit enough times. Do a death animation.
Actually, a slight a slight off tangent. This could be applied to a game, but I remember that actually a friend of mine made a system where like weapons and armor had their own durability and like took different damage from different kinds of damage in a paper game
Right.
context, like a D&D
That's
type
like
thing. So like a specific class actually was geared directly towards destroying weapons and armor more than
well,
the
right. That would
person
be something
themselves,
like
you know?
Minecraft. It all comes down to what kind of game are you making? Are you making a game where
Yeah.
weapons have durability? Okay, that would be a game like a survival game like, Minecraft. Are you making a game that where the weapons don't have durability, they're just an item you use with a certain amount of ammo? Halo or another first person shooter. Another thing is, um, the way you make a game is, you want it to run efficiently, so then it will
Yeah.
run on as many PCs or as many consoles as you want it to. Then you can, in theory, make more money by selling it to more people with lower spec hardware.
Right. Right, right.
So,
Um I was gonna ask about that too actually. When it comes to efficiency, how do you handle unloading things, specifically enemies? Like, because say you don't kill all the enemies in one area, you move along down the hallway to the next area, and like you're far away from where the enemy spawned now, but theoretically it could also still be following you. Do you unload him? What do you check to see if he's in sight and then unload him if he's not, or what do you do?
I really don't know how this works. I'm not good at programming. I do 3D modeling, but
Fair.
the way these are simple things to think about. Halo, actually, you can just run past all the enemies without
Yeah.
attacking them, and then move on to the next part of the level. But then some things have happened to me before where, let's just say, I was playing Halo 2 once, all right? And I went back and I moved on to the next section. I'm like, oh, wait, I need a different weapon. Wait, there's some weapons in the back room behind me. Okay. I went back. No weapons were there. You can go back, but the things are despawned. And I think before I didn't kill anything. only killed very few enemies. So there were still a couple lingering around, and moved on, and on back, they weren't there. So I guess it's you move on. If you move on to a next section, you have a trigger that when you cross it, spawns in enemies for the section ahead of you, and despawns enemies and entities behind you.
Okay.
I'm not really sure how the despawn script would work. I would say like despawn enemies, like no, you have to do it a certain way. Obviously, it's like according to the programming language syntax.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
That's
Anyways.
all I know about that.
Kind of.
Okay,
3D
now
modeling
sh-
do you do?
The 3D mod, yeah, Blender's great.
Okay.
All right, so
I was
next,
wondering 'cause you mentioned
next
that.
subject. Should we move on to the space race?
I have no clue, honestly. That's up to you if you wanna. Only thing I
Well-
have to offer right now is that I can talk a little more in depth about Clone Wars. Not as in depth as Micah could probably give it, though.
Yeah. All right.
About
Well,
what
what-
aspect of Clone Wars? Just in general?
What? What'd you say?
About what aspect of Clone Wars? Just in
Like how
general, or
How it ties into like the episode 3, and then it somehow ties into Mandalorian season 2
Okay.
lore.
lore.
Lore wise, ooh, I'm pretty good at Star Wars lore.
I'm
I like it.
decent at it. I'm not like a professional like Micah is.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you? Okay. So
I
what are some
don't
things
think
you want
he's a-
to talk about the Clone Wars?
So well, I just finished and now I have nothing else to watch. Well, I do, but
You finished all of it,
yeah, I just watched all 7 seasons, and
and
I don't have too much to say about it, but it's a really good series. I highly suggest watching it. But the season 7 is what ties into episode 3 of Star Wars when
right.
Execute Order 66 happens and whatnot. You see some of the stuff that's happening behind the scenes of when everything else is going on in episode 3.
Okay. Like
You-
who was it? Ahsoka going to Mandalore to fight Darth Maul,
Yes.
and she
Uh,
doesn't know until Star Wars Rebels that Anakin is Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm. But it's also none of you two don't mind about spoilers, or
No, I haven't seen it, but I don't care.
I
Also
don't
the-
even watch Star Wars really.
also I don't know about the chat, but hang on.
Spoiler warning. Go mute.
Mute.
All right.
Just depends whether or not you like Clone Wars or stuff. Which I
Yeah.
don't
So
know,
spoiler
but-
warnings. If you want to watch the Clone Wars series on yourself without any spoilers, click away for like the next 5 minutes, and then please come back. Anyway,
well, also
go
you
ahead.
also gave a spoiler because some people may not even know that Darth Maul did survive the pit and did survive being sliced in half by Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, but
Can't believe it.
what I find, well, then again, it's it's going to happen, but basically, they're on their way back to, I think, Coruscant to drop off Maul, but then Rex gets the order for Order 66.
Right.
So, which also ties into like every other clone having the execution order. So, another kind of thing that you find out earlier, and everything. I love how they I love the story of Clone Wars. They tie everything together so well.
Right.
I just am horrible at explaining things. But in the earlier episodes, they find out that, or one of the clones finds out that there is a chip in their brains. There's like an organic chip that was implanted in them at birth. And basically,
organic inhibitor chips.
yes, thank you. Basically, whenever they hear the order, execute Order 66, that makes them, in a sense, snap and turn against their general. Yeah, I'm horrible at explaining things.
No problem.
Yeah. But then one clone gets an execution too early, or his got corrupted, and then
Right.
he killed a Jedi. None of the Jedi really thought of anything of it too much until later on.
Right.
But other than that, that's kind of like the storyline to it, or not the whole storyline to it. There's a lot more, but kind of like the behind the scenes of like episode 3.
Right.
Now, I didn't explain absolutely everything because that's mainly the stuff I can remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Oh, drop my mic. Yeah, but then I haven't actually seen this Clone Wars series, but I've seen some stuff about it.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Crap. Yeah. But I didn't know his chip actually got corrupted, and that's why he killed a Jedi general. Or wait a minute, hold on. Okay, how did the Jedi not see the list of orders and then be like 66? Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Because there was a general that followed under the order of Count Dooku, who was also under the order of Darth Sidious, who was also the main man in the chair of the Republic.
Right.
So basically, Sifo-Dyas gives the order for clones to be made, but he also has, or Dooku, I think, told them to implant the chips on Kamino.
Right.
So that's about the main thing of the clones.
Right, but then, like, there were like, I think a few hundred, almost a few hundred orders you could give the clones to do, like, execute orders 35. So actually, I think it's an order to like wipe out an entire planet or something like
Oh,
that.
dang.
I think there's an order like that. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong on the number, but there's an order something like that. But why wouldn't the people that lived on Kamino give the Jedi, like, here's a list of the orders if you need to use them, like,
I don't
execute
know.
Order 35,
I think
wipe out this planet because of the impending threat.
Yeah, I think the orders are supposed. I think the orders were supposed to be hidden. The inhibitor chips were what the Caminos told the Jedi is that they just keep them from committing horrible acts of violence against the Republic and everyone else. But they don't realize that those inhibitor chips are the exact things that will destroy the Jedi. Uh-oh.
That was not good. But what I'm thinking of is, here's how they could have hid it. They could have,
Oh, there he is.
Hey, you good, man?
We lost you there for a second. You all right?
Yeah, my Discord does this cool thing where sometimes I'm just not allowed to hear anything ever, so...
Oh,
fun. Anyway, as I was saying, I think the one way that the Kaminoans were able to actually hide these orders from the Jedi, be like, okay, follow orders without question. They're like, oh, okay, great. So then let's just say the Jedi Council said, this planet is an impending threat because of a situation. Let's just say, something. I'm going to tie in some Halo here because why not? Like, the flood. They broke out on this planet. They're like, destroy it. Destroy the planet. They're like, okay, we need to destroy this planet. And then all the clone commanders would be like, okay, clones execute order 35.
yeah.
And it would seem natural to them to be like, oh, that's just an inside order that they have for what we tell them. Then they just interpret it like as an order that all the clones can follow. So that's would have been able to hide it easily. All right.
But anyways, do you want to move on to the space race and stuff?
Yes, the part I've all been waiting for. We've all been waiting for. All right, let me get my notes. All right. I made some notes, not a ton, but then I'm also okay. Disclaimer: I am reading all this information. I'm reading some of it off of the History Channel's website, and most of it from Wikipedia. So please take this with a grain of salt and do your own research. If you're not, don't take my word for it. Just do your own research. All right.
We're not forcing you to do research, so if you want to hear like lower class information, just listen to us.
Lower class information. All right. So
Okay,
let's start
everyone
out.
should take a listen.
Let's
Hold
start
on,
out with.
hold on, Sammy. I can barely hear you. Let me turn you up a little bit.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm gonna turn you
That's
up.
fun.
All right. Okay.
Ding.
So, space race. It officially began August 2nd, 1955, according to Wikipedia. Now let me look over here. Do I was scrolled pretty far down.
Mm.
Beginning in the late 1950s. So yes, this History Channel does line up with Wikipedia here. All right, it was because of the two at the time the world's two greatest superpowers. You know, the Soviet Union and the United States. Now, what actually caused the space race to become, hey, let's go to space, is the threat of nuclear war. Right.
During
So,
Cold
and some of the
War?
causes for this, for nuclear war, yeah, and some of the causes for the impending threat of nuclear war were events such as the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, the Berlin Wall, and the Korean War. You know, where you
Mhm.
could just easily nuke everybody and everybody would die. You know, and then World War III. All right. So in 1957, I believe, the Soviets successfully launch Sputnik. Right now, I'm actually going to be covering most of the um, the Russian side of this first, and then I will cover the American side in another video where most of the action happens. Actually, I'll probably do the Americans in several different episodes because there's a
There's a
lot of stuff
lot.
from the U.S. A lot of the technology from the U.S., for me at least, is a lot more accessible because I live in the U.S. Anyway,
To make a long story short, my computer is far better than any of their supercomputers. Pretty much,
at time,
honestly, anyone's laptop nowadays is probably far better than a supercomputer back in that time.
oh, yeah, definitely. But here's the thing. I'll actually talk about one of the really cool parts of the space race in another episode. It's a computer. Okay, the reason why people say, hey, your phone is more powerful than the computer that went to the space, that went to the moon. True. Here's the thing. That computer was highly specialized. It was actually crash proof, like software crash proof.
Hmm.
Get into that in another video and how they achieved that. But anyway, back to here. And
Why did I hear like a Michael Rosen, or like the Michael Rosen
Dude, I
click?
heard that too. I
Nice.
assumed that was a soundboard thing.
It wasn't. I did
Oh,
not
that-
know what that was.
Okay, I think that was a Gatorade bottle I had laying around here. Okay.
Quick question out of curiosity. I'm gonna have to.
Yep.
I'm about to look up a little more on this, but are you gonna? Assuming it's not just a myth, I really have to check. But are you gonna cover Dead Hand at any point?
You're really quiet.
Dude, turn up your mic sensitivity.
Dude, it should already be turned down, up, but I'll check that.
Yeah, check that real quick. But anyway, while you're fixing that, so I'm gonna stop there at 1957. The Soviets launch their missile, but then actually they launched Sputnik. But then in 1958, a few months later, the U.S. launched Explorer 1, first U.S. satellite.
Mhm.
Right. But here's the thing. Here's the main topic I want to get into. How
Hold
did
on.
the Russians get to space?
I'll be right back up. Just give me a
Alright.
second. You can keep going.
All right.
Also,
So how did the
just
Russians
be
get to
very nice,
space?
My mic sensitivity is now at the bottom, like the most it can be. So
Most it can be. Okay, well maybe your mic's too far from you, or it's not plugged in all the way.
that's upsetting because it's a Bluetooth headphone mic, so it should just work.
Oh dang. Not good.
Oh,
Okay.
real quick, the one question I asked was if you're gonna cover Dead Hand at any point. I'm gonna look it up to make sure it's not just a myth, but
Dead hand? I don't know what it is. Could you please
do that later.
elaborate?
Please, what? Sorry.
Please elaborate.
Oh, I'm still trying to look it up to see if it's ow, actually a thing. I believe it was though. Oh, also known as perimeter, apparently.
Is it a game or a movie or?
No, it is a Cold War era thingy. The
Hmm.
I'd have to look up more on it, but from what I understand, the general idea is that it would either detect or I forget if it would detect it or if somebody had to manually tell it to go. But basically, the idea was that whether someone had to tell it something was happening or it would detect it itself, if a nuclear bomb was sent
Okay.
towards Russia, it was supposed to automatically respond by sending bombs back to the U.S. during the
Huh.
Cold War era. And it's speculated that they still have it over there, although that's not like a confirmed thing.
Yeah, they
Again,
probably
I'd have
wouldn't
to look
confirm that.
more into it, or you'd have to look more into it to know
Yeah.
more. But that's the idea.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. So it's a countermeasure system.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get back to the space race because I've been preparing for this, and I actually want to get it done. Okay. So I want to talk about rocket they used to get into space. Right.
Mhm.
So the rocket that they used was actually an R7 ICBM. They actually made the first ICBM, and I am going to butcher this name. R7 Semyorka. Um, it is a ICBM model rocket, and they actually used it for make to one launch Sputnik, then two just actually ICBM, and three as a general purpose rocket. And I believe there was a certain type of rocket model like this that the Russians are still using or they just retired. It's the same base design, but it's obviously not the ones from the 50s or 60s or 70s. It's newer, but it's still the same type of design. So over here on this Wikipedia page, the ones that they're showing are the R7 from the test vehicle from 1957 to another vehicle in 1966. And the one here, there's the Sputnik PS launcher in 1957. Now, it's the one that they used obviously launched Sputnik. But here's the interesting fact about this rocket. It was so unstable. One microsecond, guys.
All right. Sammy, are you retaining all this information?
Um, I wouldn't say retain.
All right, guys.
But
Oh,
We
okay.
may have to cut this episode short because I forgot I need to go to cross country.
Oh,
So,
dang.
yeah. I need to get ready. But let me finish this. This rocket was actually so unstable that they couldn't do a traditional launch pad because it would actually some winds would actually push it over. What they had to do, they built a special type of suspension thing. I can't remember what it is. Here, let me look it up over here. Like ones, but trusses. That's what they are. It's a special assembly that are made to distribute forces across a given area with specific beams and stuff to support it. They actually use this to hold the rocket in place until launch time, and worked. All right.
Dang.
Anyway, guys,
okay.
unfortunately, I need to go because I totally forgot about cross country and I thought I was going to have all the time in the world. Unfortunately, I do not.
Will you have to do that every single Wednesday?
Probably,
Oh, heck.
which means we're going to have to move.
Stream
The time.
again. Heck.
Yeah. But anyway, next stream, guys, I will go and we can finish this space race thing here, and then I'll work on the other part of it.
All right. Sammy and
So-
I will probably keep talking about something.
All right. Well, adios, fellows.
All right. Oh,
See you,
Left.
gamer.
anyways. Do you have any other topics you would want to go over?
I am curious about a couple things.
Mhm.
First of all, how do you do the YouTube outro thing? Because I just haven't looked. Maybe it's obvious, but I genuinely have just not seen a way to be able to. I don't understand how people just switch between
Um,
whatever they call them in live streams setups. I guess.
so for me, they're just extra clips that I've edited, but I can switch to them using a transition on my streaming software.
Ah, okay.
Whenever you're over next, I
Yeah.
could show you.
Does that mean you could switch to? Does that mean you could switch to theoretically anything?
Pretty much. If I have a video file that I wanted to show on stream, I could throw that video file into, I think it's called a media player. Yeah, media source.
Yeah.
And then I could switch to that. When I switch to that, it starts playing the video or clip or whatever it was.
Okay. And does that have to does that always overtake everything, or could you do a thing similar to what people do with media share, where it's just like on a part of the screen?
If I wanted to, I could have what we have right now, and I could just have the media source in like the top, say the top right corner, top left corner, etc.
Yeah. Okay. So you could do that. It's just for the sake of an outro. There's no reason you would.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I wasn't sure how that worked because I just never really thought about it before. So.
Mm-hmm. Dang.
But okay.
Hold on. I have you up to, how close are you to your mic?
I don't know, some 4 inches maybe.
Oh, dang. Because the streaming software
Apparently
is,
I'm super duper quiet now, and I don't know why.
yeah.
Wish I could tell you. You know what? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off my headphones, disconnect from the call, and then redo each of those things and hope that it helps.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
cause honestly, both my Discord and my headphones are dumb and stupid. So we're just gonna see if that does anything.
Okay. By the way, viewers at home, if you hear any loud noises in the background, I have like, I think 2 trees coming down today, so yeah. Now I hear a lot more things.
Well,
Oh, I can hear you louder though. That's good.
yeah, that's the interesting thing, is that I haven't gotten you into my headphones yet.
Oh, so you, wait, you can't hear me? Or
So,
can you?
no, I can hear you, it's just you're
Okay.
playing through my tablet speaker.
Oh.
Hopefully this will connect. Hello?
There, wait, hey, it's picking up better.
Am I of proper volume now?
Yeah.
Let's go. See? Like, that shouldn't have changed anything, but it did.
I know.
But, that's what I mean when I say my Discord and my headphones are dumb and stupid. Hey,
Mhm.
maybe some other time we could cover that and figure out what's wrong. But, yeah, other than asking about the outro, I guess I could talk about why I think Battle Cats is interesting, though that's
Sure.
a fairly niche topic. I could also, I have the Wikipedia page for Dead Hand here. I don't know a lot about it, but
I forget what that is.
hey, I just explained that to Isaac. Is that his name?
Yeah.
I just explained that to Isaac moments ago. But basically,
I think I
Dead
left.
Hand. Let me actually read the Wikipedia thing here. Dead Hand, also known as Perimeter, is a Cold War era automatic nuclear weapons control system that was used by the Soviet Union. General
Mhm.
speculation from insiders, which is interesting that it's insiders specifically,
Mhm.
alleges that the system remains in use in the post-Soviet Russian Federation as well. An example of fail deadly and mutual assured destruction deterrence, it can automatically trigger the launch of the Russian intercontinental ballistic missiles by sending a pre-entered highest authority order from the General Staff of the Armed Forces, Strategic Missile Force Management, to command posts and individual silos if a nuclear strike is detected by seismic, light, radioactivity, and pressure sensors, even with the commanding elements fully destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
By most accounts, it is normally switched off and is supposed to be activated during times of crisis. However, it is said to remain fully functional and able to serve its purpose whenever it may be needed. Similar system existed in the US known as the AN/DRC-8 Emergency Rocket Communication System. I did not know that. But
Huh.
basically, if that was a lot of words, um, it would detect that, like, I think some high up people could enter in a code to get it to go
Yeah.
manually, but it would also be able to detect based on like size, seismic light and radioactivity and pressure sensors if a nuclear strike was incoming, and
Mm-hmm.
it would fire back and
Hmm.
destroy the US, assumedly, since it's a Cold War thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is why it's also called mutual assured destruction deterrence, because it's supposed to, like, hey, if you shoot us, you also lose. Doesn't that suck? So, but yeah, that's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much more about it beyond that, but I think it's a really interesting idea just because of imagining a timeline where we did bomb them and then they bombed us, and like almost an apocalyptic type setting there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know much more than what I just read. What I just
Mm.
read pretty much
Sums
said
up
everything
everything.
I know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are sections here like components and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
yeah.
anyways, you were gonna mention stuff about battle cats.
Yeah, sure. Um Again, I'm not an expert, but
You're better than me.
um there's some I I just want to mention that I think Battle Cats is really interesting just because, okay, the restrictions of Battle Cats, for those that you don't know. You're on a 2D plane, right? So there's that. It's like a 1v1 type deal. There's a tower on each side and both of you spew out units, right? And what happens is over time you generate money, and you can use that money to buy units or upgrade how fast you get money or whatever. And then the idea is to destroy the other person's base, right? Well, not person, because it's not multiplayer, which sucks because it's perfectly set up to be. But anyway, um that's the general idea. In every battle you start out with your money at level 1, but you can upgrade outside of battle your units with XP that you get from battle. You can upgrade your units, you can upgrade some base stuff like your base health, you get a cannon occasionally, which is really a laser, but you get a cannon occasionally. You
A
can
cannon
upgrade the
laser.
recharge of that, the power of that, stuff like that. And the reason I think it's interesting is because with the restrictions, you would think that it'd be a pretty simple game overall because there doesn't seem like a lot you can explore there. But the further I've gotten in Battle Cats, the niches of like the the smaller details of how each enemy works that end up playing surprisingly big roles. Like one of the most obvious ones, or two of the most obvious ones, are Long Range and Omni Strike. Caleb, are you far enough to know what either of those are?
Omni Strike is like multiple enemies, if I'm correct, or can
Um,
hit multiple enemies at once.
that that does make sense just based on the word, but it's not what it is. As
Okay.
if I've got the definition right, that's not what it is. Because area attack would be attacking everybody in your attack
Yeah.
range. Which, by the way, every unit has different attack ranges and speeds and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
area attack attacks everybody in your range, and then single target hits just one person. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, single target units are either meat shields, like really early game type things, or they are they have something else that makes up for that. Like maybe they have a really good effect, or maybe they do a ton of damage but to one person,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And long range excuse me. Long range doesn't literally just mean they have a big range, right? Long range is actually um when say you have this enemy, right? And his okay, so standing range is another thing that's important, surprisingly, right? Let's say this enemy has a standing range of 500, right? And he's a long range enemy, so his range is 450 to 700, right? That's his range of like actual attack.
Mhm.
Which means that when he is 500 units, his standing range means that when he is 500 units, I don't know how big a unit is exactly, but 500 units away from one of your cats, right? Whoever's in front. Because some enemies do act a little differently, but for the most part, you will never have your units behind the front lines of the enemy units, and similarly, they won't be anywhere past your front lines because for the most part, it's just head-on-head battle, right?
Mhm.
So, although there are notable exceptions, but that's a whole different thing. So, what will happen is when one of your units shows up at 500 units away from the enemy, he will stop and start to do his attack animation, right? That's what standing range is. That's like where they activate their attack, basically. And then since I said his actual range, his attack range is 450 to 700, that means once he gets to whatever part of the animation actually hits,
Mhm.
the area between 450 and 700 will be affected. Meaning, first, meaning that he is a long range enemy because he has a blind spot, which is from 0 to 450 range of him because that's where he doesn't hit, right?
Mhm.
But that's also close to him. So, like, somebody standing right in front of him and beating him up, he can't do anything about. And that's interesting because obviously your goal is to get into the blind spot of that, but when combined with other enemies that push, how you're supposed to deal with long range enemies can get interesting. I'm not expert enough to know the ins and outs of that particular bit, but I know there are like really specific ways to do that. But anyway, Omni Strike is the more interesting one to me. It's the one that seems more complex to me and how you deal with it because
Mhm.
this time it's not long range because they'll probably have a big range, but it's not long range. It's like, say, this enemy has, let's just stick with our 700. 700 range in the sense of attack, right? But their standing range will be, I don't know, 200. That's Omni Strike because you have to get much closer to it to activate the attack than like where it hits, right? So you have to stand right in front of it for it to attack, but when it attacks, it is hitting a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I think those enemies are really interesting to deal with because of, for the most part, so far in my experience, although I'm sure it gets more complex later, but for the most part, generally what you have to do is try and hit them before they get to you for the sake of not destroying it, because they'll kill like all your meat shields coming up and like hurt your backliners a lot and let pushers get straight to you, which sucks. But yeah, that's Omni Strike. And to be clear, I call that Omni Strike because first off, I might have that term wrong, but I think that's what that means. And secondly, it's actually something of note because most enemies, I'm pretty sure, like your standard enemy will have is the standing range and his actual range will be exactly the same, right? So he stands at 450, and once you get to 450, he will be hitting you, right? That kind
Mhm.
of thing. But yeah. So long range and Omni Strike are the things that are usually different for enemies. Although, wait, no! I just realized I've had the definition of Omni Strike wrong. I don't know what that one's called, but I've remembered. I don't know what I just described is called, but I find that one particularly interesting. I just remembered that Omni Strike is actually when an enemy will hit in front of and behind it, which
That's another
is
thing I was
also
thinking.
interesting because yeah, because that's the ones where you're now the game is taking into account that you can get behind stuff, right? Because typically it's a head-to-head battle, but
Mhm.
when an enemy is knocked back, technically they don't have a hitbox during that time. So you actually can sneak units past that, but as a countermeasure, some enemies have Omni Strike so that they'll still hit you back there, which is kind of a de-cheesing method. So you have to actually fight the boss, right?
Ow.
Although I don't think it necessarily works every time. But yeah, that's what Omnistrike is, and those are the main differences with range. I could keep going. The question is just if we care.
Honestly, we don't have too much stuff to talk about other than like talking with viewers, but we don't have many viewers to begin with. So,
Yeah, fair.
I will mention once again, for those who are still in it now, join our Discord
Yeah,
and
join the Discord. Give us suggestions.
yes,
And by us, I mean them mostly. But
yeah. Which Sammy, we may have you back on a few times if you're fine with that.
I mean, yeah, I don't have a huge range of things to talk about, but I can exist.
It's
But,
more of like the comedic part of things because you are the funny internet man.
fair. It is me, the funny internet man. But yeah, chat dead. Wait, that's you. Shut up. Um. Oh, yeah. I guess the other thing that makes the game in later parts become more interesting is two unique enemy types. There are also some effects that start making it really interesting, but I figure first let's get types out of the way, right?
Mhm.
So, Caleb, how many of the enemy types can you just list already?
There's like
Like I know you're not far in the game, but
yeah, there's like red enemies, there's
right.
normal enemies, zombie enemies, alien enemies, metal enemies. Uh,
Okay.
those are ones I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. I didn't know you were actually aware of that many. Have you actually encountered those enemies, or have you just
I've
like
s-
seen it in the?
I've seen you play some of them, and then I've encountered a few
Uh,
of them.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, what it is, the full scope of them is. I'm hoping I'm remembering all of them here. We have traitless enemies or white enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have red, we've got black, we've got angel, we've got floating, we've got metal, we've got alien, and we've got zombie,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Most of these are just for type alignment, basically. Because your units sometimes have special things, like this one will slow floating, or this one will do massive damage to zombies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, or massive damage to black, right? I changed that because zombies and aliens are the only ones that are actually different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously every enemy is different because it has different stats, but they get special things, right?
Yeah.
Namely, zombies can burrow into the ground and pop up further, which is what I was talking about when I said there's an exception to not having anything in your backlines, right? And zombies can also respawn, like revive, rather. So, like, after you kill a zombie, it will leave, like, a little. Okay, um, most of the things in Battle Cats are color coordinated when it comes to enemies. Floating and Angel are the exceptions, because floating you just have to see that it's not on the ground. And Angel, it'll usually have wings and a halo, but red is obviously a color, black is obviously a color, metal is usually gray, aliens are blue, and zombies are purple, right? So, when you kill a zombie, it'll leave a little purple splat on the ground, basically, with like a skull on it. And
Mm-hmm.
after a little bit, this is different for every enemy. The time is different for every enemy, but eventually it'll come back with a set amount of health. The amount of health also differs zombie to zombie. So that's another way that they can get into your back lines. And I think zombies don't give you that much money. So zombies are really just super tough all around, right? Because they don't give you extra money when you kill them, or not a lot anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They infiltrate your back lines and mess up your meat shielding, and you have to have someone back there that can actually do damage as well as up front. Um, they just suck, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, but I like zombies because they make you have to plan for them to show up in the back lines, right? Which vastly shakes up the gameplay when zombies are present, right? It usually, for me anyway, you'll have to bring some units just to deal with zombies among the other things, right?
Mhm.
Aliens, what's different about them? There are actually two subcategories of aliens. There are just aliens and there are starred aliens. Normal aliens are normal. They don't do anything different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're tougher and they're a different type, but for the most part, it's just another enemy, right?
Yep.
But starred aliens show up in Cats of the Cosmos, which is the third set of 3 chapters, right?
Mhm.
And they have two special things, which are warping and bear. Is it called a barricade? I think it
I
might.
have no clue. I barely know about the game. You know more than I do.
Yeah. I don't remember what it's actually called, so I'm just gonna call it a barricade, and if I'm wrong, oh well. Um, but basically, let's start with warping. That one's more obvious.
Mhm.
There's an enemy early on called a Star Pang that has a pretty high chance of warping you, right?
Yeah.
And what it does is if your cat does not have warp blocking, which by the way, for anybody out there that plays Battle Cats, Catalite, or starts as Rover Cat, Catalite is his third form. Catalite is a lifesaver in Cats of the Cosmos, alright? Because if I didn't have. He's basically an anti warp meat shield and also anti alien meat shield, which goes really nicely together and is very important for those stages. So
Mhm.
if you have him, upgrade him for sure. But anyway,
Wait, what's the starter for him?
Rover Cat, I think. He's a rare
Okay.
cat. Or maybe Robot Cat, something like that.
I think I may have had him eventually, but I can't remember.
Yeah. He's really nice for having an anti warp meat shield. But
Ooh, they just chopped down another limb.
what?
So I have people over at my house that are chopping down tree limbs and clearing out trees in my backyard.
Okay. I figured it was trees, but you didn't give that context. So, you know.
Ooh, someone just revved up their chainsaw.
Uh-oh. You
I'm
should
scared.
fear
I
for
should
your
probably
life.
run.
Yeah, I agree. But no. um, right. Warping, if, first off, every ability like slow, freeze, warp, etc. Well, I guess not every ability, but most of them, with the exception of burrowing, reviving, and barricades,
Hmm.
are, proc chance. Like, maybe it'll be 100% chance, but chances are it's like a 50 or a 20 or a 5 or 75, whatever, some percentage chance
Hmm.
of it actually procking. So when warp procs, what it does is your cat just gets zooped up. You actually, that's very literal. The visual for it is that like a portal opens above them and then they just up into it, right?
Just Michael Rosen
And
pops
for
out
a
of
set,
nowhere and just inhales them.
yeah,
It's just like.
and for a set amount of time, I don't know, or no, not I don't know. It it differs between enemies how long they're in the warp, but they go up there for a set amount of time. So they're basically taken out of the battle for a set amount of time
Mhm.
and then dropped back in somewhere else, usually further back, right?
Mhm.
So with enemies like Starpang, where they don't stay away for long, even though he's pushing, um, the cats get recycled, so he still has to deal with them until they die. Chances are, right?
Mhm.
Um, but there are a few interesting cases of warping I actually want to talk about. There's the Eel Bros. I don't know their actual name. It's something like that. There's the um, Little Cosmic Cyclone, right?
Mhm.
And there's I want to say his name is King Wanwan instead of Wawa,
Good
but
name.
good name, yeah. But um, the Eel Bros and the Little Cosmic Cyclone are the only two enemies in the game that warp you forwards, like towards the
Oh.
enemy base. Um, which is interesting because even though that definitely puts you closer to the base, aliens are known for having really strong backliners.
Mm-hmm.
So chances are what will happen is you'll be warped forward and then killed, right?
Dang.
As opposed to warp backwards and then they just show back up to battle. And this also makes the little cosmic cyclone, for those of you that don't play Battle Cats, cyclones in general, there are only a couple of little versions, and those are like standard enemies but with cyclone-esque traits. But the cyclones are like bosses, basically,
Mm-hmm.
that have a really high attack rate and really high damage, but a very low range, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, since they're a type, they're usually pretty slow. Not always. There are a couple exceptions, but usually they're really slow, which means you can use effects like knockback, freeze, slow, etc. to help
Mm.
basically clown on them. But
All right, we have a new viewer. For context, he is talking about
nice.
the game Battle Cats.
Yeah, I'm talking about the video game Battle Cats because we need something to talk about, and it's like one of the only things I know.
Yeah,
So
it's a free game on the Android or App Store on iOS.
yeah,
Or
I'm pretty
I've
sure you can get it on both.
yeah,
It's a
you can
really
get
good
it
game.
pretty much on
It
anything
starts off pretty
besides
slow, but
PC.
once you start rolling places, it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So the thing about the little cosmic cyclone specifically is that it doesn't warp you forward very far,
Mm-hmm.
but that's enough for it to move past. So what its purpose actually is to just be a really good pusher so that it gets to your base really fast because it's just moving your cats out of the way. And then it does direct damage to you, which is a very quick way to make you lose, right? So that's the sort of purpose of that one. While the Eel Bros, what they do is they actually have a really long range and they have long range. The but like in the meaning where they have a big blind spot, right? But like they reach out really far and then drag you back, and then their main purpose is usually to drag you directly into really strong backliners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's interesting, but or those are interesting uses of it because they're the only two that do that. But King Wanwan is the other one, right? So there are stages in Battle Cats called Advent events, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Advent stages, which are stages that show up once a month for like 2 days in a row, I think.
Yeah.
And they have particularly difficult enemies. Like and this is also like the only place you see them usually, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
one-off enemies for the most part. And King Wawa is one of the Advent enemies, right? But then in his there's a variation of him called King Wanwan, I think, maybe Lord Wanwan. That's an alien, a starred alien, right? And what happens is in his stage, in the stage where you fight him, you you first off there's a restriction on the stage. If you haven't run into a restriction yet, it's like basically just tells you what you can and can't do. Sometimes it's about cost, they can only cost under this or above this. Or sometimes it's about rarity, no uber rares this time or no specials this time. Only these two, whatever. That's what restrictions are basically. And this particular stage has the restriction of you can only deploy 10 cats at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is not a lot. But what makes that devastating in this stage is that Lord Wanwan has warp, right? But what happens is when I think he has a 100% chance. I might be wrong. But when he hits you with the warp, that cat is gone for an entire minute,
Oh
which
dang.
doesn't sound like a lot, but in battle that is a long time. So you only get 10 cats, and whenever he warps them, they're gone for an entire 60 seconds, which means it's really easy to just run out of deployable cats because while they're warped out, they still count towards the 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really easy to just run out of cats and then they just walk on up to your base and have a nice day, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that I although I I feel like I've heard mixed thoughts on that. Um, mixed thoughts on that battle. I think although I haven't reached it, I think it'll be really interesting just because I have to wonder how to approach that, you know? But yeah, that's warping basically. And barricade is the other thing. So barricades are it's not temporary HP, but it's like a shield where you can't hit them until you break the shield, right? Basically.
Hmm.
And what's interesting is that instead of like, you have a shield that has 800 health. This
Oh,
guy that does 100 damage hits it 8 times.
yeah.
It's not broken, right?
Mhm.
So, are you
Eh.
talking to someone else?
No, I was yawning and I'm falling asleep.
I see. You should get sleep.
I don't want to. Actually, I probably should, and
You
I have to
should.
go to bed earlier tonight because I got to go to work in the morning.
Oh, yike.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, right. You have a barricade with 800 health. One guy that does 100 damage hits it 8 times and it's not broken. Because how those actually work is that you have to hit it with that or more, right? In a single hit. So, like, one unit has to do 800 health or more in one hit to break that barrier.
Hmm.
Or they have to have barrier breaker, which is another proc thing, right?
Yep.
But yeah, there's not a lot more to say on that one except for that there are some enemies that have ridiculous barriers specifically for the Oh, that's what it is. Barrier, not barricade. Huh. Anyway.
Barriers.
There are some
Mason
enemies that have
Mary.
ridiculous barriers so that you have to have somebody that can break barriers or else you just
You're gonna
don't
die.
win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like even if it doesn't kill you. One time I got basically I had to exit a level because I beat everything in it, but I did not have a barrier breaker on me.
Hmm.
So I was just whamming on these guys' barriers for eternity, and I had to give up and come back with someone with barrier breaker, right?
Dang.
Because they couldn't kill me and I couldn't kill them.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's not a lot more to talk about on barriers. They just make you bring barrier breakers if they're high enough HP.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Ow.
the various. Oh,
Ow.
dude.
What?
Okay, I lied when I said all the types, right? Because I kind of just discarded this one because even I haven't seen it yet,
Hmm.
right? Um, relic enemies are a thing,
Oh.
right? And relic enemies are extremely late game. They're like after you've finished Stories of Legend, I'm pretty sure.
Oh. Dang. That's a long ways away, and also I think he just cut out. Hold on. Sorry about that, people. Sammy's Discord is kind of dumb sometimes, so he just cuts out every once in a while. So he'll be back here in a second. Jeez. Oh, that's not Sammy.
Turns out, someone set up the wrong schedule and stuff.
Oh, so you don't have cross country today?
Nope, not today.
Nice.
Mm.
Hold on, Sammy's thing just disconnected. So
Is live stream still going?
yeah, it's still going.
Oh, it is.
We've been talking about Battle Cats for a while now. Hold on, you made
really. Mm. excuse
Oh,
the
there he
screaming.
is.
Mm.
All right.
Oh, yep, still live now. Gotcha.
Hello?
Hello. You're back.
Hey, I made it back.
What happened?
Are
Did your whole
we-
thing just crash?
You said that I cut out, and then I asked if I'm just silent, and you didn't respond, so I assumed that yeah. And then
Oh.
I left Discord, and then everything had a seizure,
Oh.
and then now I'm back. But
Mm.
right,
Like, did you
just to-
legit have a seizure?
No. His Discord had a seizure or stroke.
my entire tablet did.
Mm. Hey guys,
Um,
I am.
to
I'm doing a live
finish
stream, please
though
be
on the
quiet.
topic,
Shut
relic
up.
enemies are like the last type, right?
Mhm.
As far as I'm aware, they're like
Oh.
the very last type you ever encounter, and
Hmm.
they're only in Uncanny Legends, which is the thing after Story of Legends, right?
Isaac, you may need to mute.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to.
Yeah, I was gonna
do
say there's
push
a
to-
lot of background noise.
All right. Is this better?
Yeah, I think it is. Are you using push to talk? You probably forgot to hit the
Sorry,
button.
it's chaotic over here.
Oh. Are you using push to talk?
Yeah.
Oh.
I am.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, the relics are the last type, and they're the only ones in the game that have the status effect Curse,
Oh.
right? That's their proc thing, except I'm pretty sure all of them have 100% chance of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So like there are only a few relic enemies. I don't know how many, but there aren't that many, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I can think of off the top of my head, there's a Doge edition, there's a Doge variation. There's a variation of the Lemur. There's a variation of the Head. There's a variation of Arost, which you might not have run into yet. That's one that's introduced in Stories of Legend. And there is a variation of Bun Bun, and then like a couple of relic only enemies I can think of. So, like,
Wait,
7?
what are we talking about? Hello. What are
First off,
we talking about?
I'm talking about Battle Cats, and what's so funny?
So he came back and all he just hears like just it sounded like a whole train wreck or something. I don't know.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, my brother's cleaning up some Creos, so
Oh.
that's probably what it was.
But oh yeah,
But it's like
the last
oh, sorry,
effect,
go ahead.
which I haven't run into it yet, but I'm certain it will make coping hard. Like it'll be hard to deal with, I think. But
Mhm.
the last thing is Curse, which what it does is when you have cats have their own things, right? Like this cat slows floating, like I said earlier. This one does massive damage to black. This one
Mhm.
whatever, right? This
Okay.
one is well, I don't think long range counts, but whatever. They do various things, right?
Mhm.
And what Curse does is each enemy has a different amount
I'm-
has a different duration when they inflict Curse on you.
All right, sorry guys. I'm playing some RL craft right now.
Okay.
Oh,
That's fair.
I spawned right in the middle of the ocean with the battle tower after I died.
Oh.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh crap!
That's
And,
nice.
and I think there's a sea monster.
Oh dang.
You're dead.
Brilliant.
He's gonna die.
Definitely.
Can we get an
But I'm
F
gonna
in the
have to kill off my
chat? Oh
push
wait, no,
button.
there's only 2 viewers. We can't get an F in the chat.
You can get an F in the chat.
All right. Well, guys, I think I'm gonna head out because I can't
Okay.
do the push to talk and play Minecraft, and I want to play some
All right.
That's
Well,
before I have to go do stuff. So,
okay.
adios
Have a
again.
good one, gamer.
See ya. All right.
Yeah. Curse, what it does is it takes those away. If you are strong against Relic, while you are cursed, you are not. You are just standard. Any effect that you have is gone while you're cursed. That's what I understand anyway.
Mhm.
And there are a few cats that are like resistant to curse or can't be cursed or something.
Mhm.
But for the most part, if you're cursed, any of your extra abilities are gone,
Mhm.
which is quite bad for a lot of cats. Um, Notably, cats that depend on staying alive sometimes have a survivor talent, which means when you hit them and decrease them to 0 HP, they'll hang on at 1 HP and the next hit will kill them, right? Um, and like stuff like that, Curse just takes it away when it's inflicted on you for however long it's inflicted on you. And I'm pretty sure all of the relic enemies have Curse, so that unless all of the relic targeting enemies or relic targeting units have anti-curse, which I don't know if they do, that's probably going to be one of the hardest things to deal with. But yeah, that's just about a rundown on the mechanics of Battle Cats. There are a couple other things like Wave and Surge, but you know.
Mm.
I mean, do we care?
Eh.
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 Well, I guess these are kind of quick to explain,
Yeah.
actually. So, quicker than most of the others. So, a
Mhm.
wave attack is basically it has a set level, and then what it is when an attack lands. Sometimes it's a proc chance, and sometimes it's 100%. But when an attack lands, it sends out waves that go further, and each one hits also, and does more damage, and also penetrates. So like some high level waves, as in they go further, can go further and take out backliners, which can be really useful. And
Mhm.
it can also hit Omni Strike enemies. Not Omni Strike. The one I was talking about where they hit much further forward than where they stand. Enemies from further away, which can help keep them at bay. But the other one is Surge, which is when the attack lands. There's a set range for the Surge, right? And at a randomly generated spot in that area, this surge wave will come up, and what it does is it lasts for a set amount of time, differs between units and enemies, and it just does damage over and over and over and over and over right there, which is a little RNG reliant, which can make some levels inconsistent, but, you know, that's about it. But yeah. Basically, I think Battle Cats is a great game because even though it has a very simple concept, it finds a lot of nice ways to elaborate on it.
Mhm.
That's pretty much my spiel. Any thoughts or anything to add, or
Not really. I think that may be a wrap soon. So
okay?
just
Because I don't really have anything else to talk about. So
yeah. Um, did you talk or mention anything about the cat food?
I didn't actually. Um, so I guess I will. Um, every game has, well, not every game, but pretty much every mobile game has two currencies, right? There's like the standard currency and then the super rare currency that you can buy with real money, right? And cat food is Battle Cat's rare currency that you can buy with real money. Except, another reason I like Battle Cats is that you can actually get cat food by just playing the game. Like a lot of mobile games, they'll have things that say diamonds is the rare currency, and you get like 1 diamond per, I don't know, long time. You like never get diamonds basically, but things will cost like hundreds of diamonds, and you pretty much you're not going to get those things unless you spend real money on the game, right? But in Battle Cats, one thing I like is that cat food you can actually get, like whenever you clear out an entire map, you get cat food for doing that. To be specific, 30 cat food and 1 leadership. Leadership lets you refill your energy without having to wait or spend cat food, right? And you can spend cat food in a multitude of places. So it's not like being able to actually get cat food makes it useless, because there's still a lot more than you'll ever spend to be spent, right? Not only because some things you can buy over and over, but also because, say, the special cats. The special cats, you can buy some cats for cat food, which I mean, a lot of them aren't worth it really, but if you're anything like me, you're kind of a 100% kind of guy, so you kind of want to get them all, right? And
Mhm.
instead of making you pay real money for them, you just have to actually work for the cat food, which I think is really nice. Like, you can, every time you clear out a map, which includes Story of Legends maps, which is nice because those are only like 5 to 8 levels long.
Mhm.
But, you clear out, main chapter maps, which are like 48 levels long every time. You can, in Into the Future, in all 3 Into the Future chapters, there's a time rewards. So like if you beat levels fast enough, you get stuff, and a lot of those have 10 cat food rewards. And then you can use cat food to do 11 draws at the rare ticket thing, which is 1,500 cat food. But sometimes that 100% guarantees you'll get an Uber, which is really nice. So yeah, I think cat food is a nice system for a rare currency because you can actually get it. It just takes a little bit, and it
Mhm.
takes like actual progress, you know?
Yeah.
Because usually you're not gonna get cat food for just sitting around.
Yeah.
Although recently they did a survey thing where you just take the survey and then you get 50 free cat food. So actually, if you want to
Dang.
hop on that, Caleb, I th
All right.
you might have to have the first 3 chapters cleared. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But you might not also. What it is, you know when you open the game, like things pop up at the very beginning that tell you various stuff?
Yeah.
One of those leads to the survey, so like don't close out of those immediately.
Okay.
But yeah, that's something you can hop on. But yeah,
Mhm.
Battle Cat's good game, download it.
Free
Although
on
I
the
will
App
see
Store.
yeah, free. It's a free game. Although I will say, um, I'm getting rather far and XP seems to be getting much more scarce.
Mhm.
So it seems like you might
Also,
actually have to start grinding for experience later,
an
specifically in XP stages, but yeah.
yeah. Another topic we could go over, not in this stream, but maybe next stream if you joined us. Uh, you could talk about Hollow Knight.
Dude, fair. I mean, I don't know a lot about it. I just gush about it, but
Mhm. But
because I don't.
still,
I mean,
it's
I know
nerd
some
crap.
of the
You can,
lore, but I don't know enough.
yeah.
You know.
You don't really need to know learn the lore if you just really love the game. Just talk about it. Just ask us. Honestly, if you want to talk about anything on the channel, just leave me a message and I'll see if I can get you in.
Fair, fair. At some point, I think it'd be nice to talk about. I do actually have multiple like concepts for games.
Hmm.
Now, whether they'll come out or not, no idea. And like, I'm not even 100% certain that I want to give out the entire concept just online because there's always that paranoia that somebody will be like, "Good idea," and do it first, right?
Yeah.
But but that could be something. That could be
Hmm.
something. I don't know yet.
But yeah, I
But
think
yeah, I
now
mean,
we've kind of
I
moved
don't
on to
have
the.
much more to say on Battle Cats except for that it's a gacha system, which is
Yeah.
basically spend a ticket, which by the way, you get a cat ticket every day, which just rolls for normal cats, which is like a set 9. But
Hmm.
then you can get rare cat tickets from various places, right? And sometimes just for showing up on certain days, right?
Hmm.
Like, dude, I think the 22nd of every month is Meow Meow Day. I'm assuming they say two like meow in Japan. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that, or I don't know what two is in Japanese rather.
Hmm.
But I assume it's 22 meow meow, you know.
What was that? Okay, never mind.
But the 22nd of every month, I'm pretty sure you get like some cat food, a rare cat ticket, and a leadership just because it's the 22nd, right?
Hmm.
So that's a nice free way to get stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and sometimes they host collabs, which is nice.
They host
Which is
what?
collabs.
Oh
Aren't you in
yeah,
Stories of Legend yet?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember though.
Basically, a collab will have its own levels, its own unique enemies that are there only for that time,
Hmm.
unique units only for that time, and sometimes new music. Some of the new music for the recent collabs has been sick. But yeah, that's I'll shut up. Battle Cat's good game. Battle Cat's good game. Get it?
Anyways, yeah, that's about all we're going to be able to talk about today because we're coming up on the 1 hour 30-minute mark. Jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Is that long for this podcast? Because
we typically try doing
many hours.
typically try doing between an hour to an hour 30. But really, if we go over longer, I don't care. We can just go as long as we want. But if it's on a Wednesday night, I have to prepare for work the next morning, so I do care a little bit. But yeah, tomorrow, actually no, tomorrow's something else. Friday, we're going to be opening up. I finally got the community server working and running, so we're going to be running that again. It's going to be a different IP. I'll post the IP. Actually, I could try posting it in the description, so you, actually, hold on. For the gamers waiting to play it, I'm going to throw it in the description right now. Hold on.
Yeah,
Duh. Here it is.
Other than that, is it just outro time?
Yeah, basically, but yeah, it's 1.16.3. Anyone can join because, well, the IP is in the description, and I'm also going to be uploading it on, or posting the IP on Facebook on my page, so people can join from there as well, which I really don't like Facebook and using that platform, but the only reason why I have is so Oculus will work.
Fair.
But other than that, I am about to
So
post
what?
the IP in the description.
Subscribe, join the Discord, give us suggestions, get Battle Cats, join the server.
Ah.
What'd you do?
It's fine. I fixed it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
What'd you do?
Nothing. Nothing.
What'd you do?
I did nothing. Shh. I did nothing. All right, that should work. Unless, of course, if it doesn't, let me check real quick. It did not. Hold on.
You fool.
And bobbity boop. Now that should work. And that worked. Okay, good. All right. So yeah, community server
good.
on Friday.
Join the Discord, join the Minecraft, join the subscribe button, get Battle Cats. Have a good day.
Like if you enjoyed, and yeah, we'll see you gamers later. Scabbity.